Andy Cabe is the Director of Horticulture at Riverbanks, Director of the Botanical Garden at Riverbanks Zoo and Botanical Gardens. And y'all are known for spectacular plants that just have this great pow factor. And you brought a lot of them here today, and it reminds us that you don't have to have a flowering plant that's just got a small season of time when it has interest. And these, I think a lot of these look like things that you probably brought out of the greenhouse, but I don't think they're limited all year to greenhouse, are they?
No, absolutely not. And like you said, sometimes flowering plants, they only give you that flowering punch just for a short period of time. And that's why some of these foliage plants are really great to give you longer seasons of interest. You know, a lot of the things we see out here, yes, they did just come out of the greenhouse, but we'll be able to bring those out when it comes, you know, frost-free weather sometime in April. And just depending on when we're going to get a frost again, you know, could it be October, November, December? You get a long season of interest out of this stuff, and so we kind of runs the gamut. We've got things, you know, like this Coleus here,
yes,
which, you know, I love Coleus.
It's one of the most satisfactory and easiest plants for people to start with too when they want to do something unusual in the garden.
That's absolutely right, and you can find one with pretty much any leaf shape, color pattern, anything like that. There's a Coleus for everyone out there.
And this is one y'all developed, I think, at Riverbanks.
Yeah, this is one we hybridized ourselves. We called this one Bloody Mary.
I can see why. It's got that beautiful red spot in the middle.
Yeah, so, you know, but just so so easy to do, and they give you such long interest.
Oh, they really do.
And so easy to carry over from year to year. All you have to do is take a cutting, sit it in a glass of water in the windowsill over the winter, and then you'll have another plant ready to go in the spring.
And then down here, this one is fun. It's got variegation in it, and the leaf itself has such a beautiful cut aspect
to it. This is Monstera deliciosa variegata. It's a variegated Monstera, and you typically see this as a house plant. Or people have it kind of vines a little bit. It'll be growing on totems and things like that.
Alrighty.
And while it's a fabulous house plant, and it's one of my favorite house plants, we also use house plants a lot at Riverbanks, just as garden plants, just as you might, just in the same kind of sense we would use a Coleus, we might stick a Monstera in there, or a philodendron, or something else like that. These obviously not great for full sun, but great under trees and things like that, just with some dappled sunlight.
And so they brighten that area where it would be kind of boring otherwise.
It just gives you something different to look at. You don't expect to necessarily see in Columbia, South Carolina, that growing in the ground. Now, that being said, if we plant it directly in the ground, we will dig it up and, and then bring it back in the greenhouse.
And so you're saying that actually they're pretty easy going. If you have them planted in the ground and you do a good job of getting the root ball and putting it in a pot and bringing it in, you can carry them over.
Oh yeah. You're gonna see them grow over the spring and summer, and then you're gonna dig them up, pot them up, and they'll do just fine.
Season. Yep. Okay. Well, I want to say, if you wanted some pow and color, look at that chartreusey color in that one.
This is a variegated type of ginger. This is called Alpinia zarumbe variegata. And you see this lots of times in your big box stores and garden centers, sold as a houseplant. This is actually cold hardy outside.
Really?
If it gets any winter damage, just cut the damaged leaves off and it'll sprout back. But so many of these plants, they're so versatile in the ground or in a container. That also would make a fabulous houseplant too. That's what they're sold for a lot of times, like I said. So, but just amazing coloration with that variegation, brightens up any kind of spot in the garden.
And so, if you had an area near a place where you like to sit outside in the summer that was shaded, you could put some things like this, and you would make it seem like you were in Key West or in the tropics by putting some of these plants out.
And this Alpinia will take sun, things like that. Full sun to part sun even.
Wow.
So
it's really versatile.
Yeah, so it's very versatile.
Now this is the craziest looking thing I've ever seen, and it really is exotic looking. It looks like it's going la 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 la, and doing a dance over here or something.
This is an Acalypha.
Acalypha
are related. Acalypha are chenille plants that that a lot of people are commonly familiar with that.
Yeah.
This is just a different kind.
It sure is different.
The blooms are not as prominent on these, but the foliage is amazing, and they're dozens, if not hundreds, of different varieties. We love growing these as foliage plants, full sun in the garden. Just like I said, very versatile. 7, 8, 9 months of interest, and then we just take them back in the greenhouse or take some cuttings.
Now, these that have all this beautiful green foliage, do you have a lot of problems with fungal disease, or are these pretty easy to grow?
We don't have a lot of problems, and the biggest place we would see a problem would probably be in the greenhouse in the wintertime, where we have things packed in, tighter than we want. But I never really see any problems on that.
So if we use these out in our garden, we probably shouldn't have to be out there.
No, shouldn't have much of a problem with that at all.
Working on them every whip stitch, trying to keep them looking good. All righty. And then over here, we have something that looks a little bit like some of those aspidistras that has spots on it, but the leaf has a lot more texture to it.
Yeah, this is actually a Crinum Lily, and Crinums grow from a bulb, so this is actually a bulbous plant.
Like the wonderful things that Jinx Farmer has down at his place.
Yes, absolutely. And this one does flower, but we grow this one primarily for the foliage. We like that speckled variegation; just adds a lot of interest. And
well, and also just the way it grows,
the way it arches,
and
it does bloom. It has nice, spidery-looking white blooms. But it's one of those that if it never bloomed, I'd be perfectly happy with it too.
And if you have a limited space, this great big rangy fellow, needs a pretty big area. But if you don't have a lot of space, look how neat and compact that is. But you got a lot of wow with it still.
And it looks great in the container, especially when it's raised a little bit off the ground to make it a little more prominent. And then, just a real neat plant to have. And
then when you think that you have to have flowers to have color, this fella comes along and changes your mind.
Yeah, so we've started using Bromeliads a lot more. They're different ones that will tolerate sun and shade, different shapes, sizes, colors. We've done some beautiful ones in pots in full sun. And we do, then other ones we'll kind of tuck in other pots. They're great fillers. The smaller ones are great fillers. When we see an empty spot, something that's kind of languishing, we'll just take it out and maybe pop a Bromeliad in.
That makes me think that they're pretty easy.
Very easy. Very easy.
Okay. Well, I just think that it's wonderful to think that here it is February, and we've got these great plants, and some of them, like this one, we can even leave outside. But as you say, bring them in. They don't have to have too much room in your house over the winter. Just keep them from freezing, and then pop them back in and have a wonderful, wonderful, varied landscape.
That's right. Spring is on the way now. I can feel it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And we're excited about all the wonderful things y'all have going out there, and we appreciate your coming to visit us today.
Thank you for having me.